Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. This is Corey Osborne, and I just wanted to get some, preliminary stuff out of the way before we get into the podcast today. I just wanted to let you know that there's a considerable amount of background noise that I couldn't really control or anything like that with this podcast. So, yeah, there's a little bit of background noise, and I'm a little frustrated about it. It doesn't sound the greatest at times, but I really enjoyed the conversation that I had with Nate and Florian today, and I hope you enjoy it as well. Have a nice day. Let's get into it. Hello, guys. This is Corey Osborne, and this is the Midichlorian I can't talk today. This is the Midichlorian Media Podcast.
And I'm Nate Padilla.
And this is our special guest today.
Hello, I'm special guest Florian Plotzik.
Yeah, good kid, good guy. He likes Star Wars, so
I do.
I figured that I'd get him on here. And it's funny because what inspired me to get him on here is that for a little while there, Florian, we were on the same Twitter wavelength. It was just it was one of those things where it's wow, you just keep on popping up there, keep on liking the same things, all the nerdy things, and it was just dope. It was really dope stuff. And having a short conversation with him, asking if he wanted to go on, we even talked about stuff where it was dude, there's just so much crossover, so it was really neat. And thank you for being a part of the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
So always glad to talk about some Star Wars.
It's nice. It is really nice. So
Super. I love talking Star Wars. Let's get into it.
Do you? Okay. So our first topic for today is about Phil Lord and Chris Miller's credit for the Solo film. I know we're boring our buddy Charlie right now because he doesn't want to talk about the Solo film right now. One of my friends who sometimes guests on this podcast as well is as long as we don't talk about Solo, and it's okay, but you gotta admit it's super interesting. Just no, it's just so it's a very weird topic, and how it just unfolded like this. They got fired. There's so much ugly drama. It's amazing. It's entertaining. It kind of stinks because I really like Phil Lord and Chris Miller though. But yeah, it's just very, very interesting stuff. So we've learned that their official credit for the Solo movie is an executive producers. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's fair. I mean, they did I don't know how much Ron Howard had to reshoot and redo things, and what parts are their parts and what parts are Ron Howard's parts. But I think that with that much commitment they put into the Solo film, I think that's fair credit to be executive producers.
Florian, what do you think?
I think it's pretty fair, honestly. I mean, it seems like they were initially, their pick for the film, so I don't know how much work they honestly did on it. Probably a lot, but I mean, it'll be one of those things where we have to wait till the movie comes out to, kind of see, which scenes are theirs and which scenes are Ron Howard's. But it's good that they're getting credited for the work that they did.
No, it's also one of those things where I'm kind of I'm just really curious because Ron Howard and Phil Lord and Chris Miller are both very distinct filmmakers. So I think that one would be able to tell, but at the same time, from what I've heard and what I've read coming from the script or coming from people was that there would be points in time when Phil Lord and Chris Miller would be like, "Hey, do this thing off the script, and now we're gonna improvise and do our thing." And there was just a very extreme miscommunication that happened between Kathleen Kennedy and Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And it's kind of weird because she hired him. Lucasfilm hired them, both of them, knowing full well what kind of filmmakers they were. So I'm why did they, were they just,
I've heard,
were they just
oh, look at how the kids, they're fresh. They're the fresh kiddos. That's what they're doing right now. Look at what the fresh kids are doing right now.
Oh, wait, they're not doing exactly what they're telling them to do?
Yeah,
we're not letting them be creative.
I heard that they were doing way more comedy than serious.
yup comedy.
Yeah,
but I feel it's either them just being very or not going in line with what they were supposed to do, or Lucasfilm didn't define it enough. I would love to see the documentary for Solo, just to see what Lucasfilm wouldn't release it. I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Yeah,
but I want somebody else to make the documentary. Please, somebody get
Someone
on that.
should make like the Disaster Artist 2 just with the Solo, but it's just about making Solo.
Dude, I love like Disaster Artist.
An anthology Disaster Artist film series of just really bad movies that just went wrong.
Oh, that'd be great. That sounds awesome. But yeah, so Florian, do you have anything else to add?
I think it, to me, at least seems like one of those situations where brands will like hire a creator because they really want just the name recognition.
Yeah.
But they don't entirely like know what that creator does. And so they hire them on and they start doing their work, and then they're like, oh, well, this isn't what we wanted at all. We thought you were completely different. So
no, yeah, and it's one of the things where like, how though? How do you get the guys who did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the Lego Movie, and the amazing 21 and 22 Jump Street films, and think, oh yeah, we'll be able to get them, and they'll be able to do, like, I don't know. The thing is, what really fascinated me about this Han Solo film was their direction with it. I was like, wow, Star Wars, like Lucasfilm, that's ballsy. Like, picking them, like, that's really interesting. And I think they must have a cool vision for this movie. And I don't know, it's a little bit frustrating. But, you know, in retrospect, it's probably going to be a better film because of it. Because I don't see Phil Lord and Chris Miller's tonal, their normal stuff that they do in line with Star Wars. So, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, there has been a ton of planes going. Like, have you guys noticed that? A ton of planes have been truck. Just like, or truck. Like, I thought it was a plane from the way I was hearing it. It's probably a garbage truck, but there's just background noise. Deal with it. Anyways, let's get into this second topic. And this is going to be pretty much one of the bulkier topics that we have today. And it's going to be something that in a corny manner titled The Last Jedi Bluray Extravaganza. Anyways, so how was the quality of the Blu-ray for you guys? Like, how was I understand that you guys, some of you might not pay too much attention to this, but how did you like how the visuals looked? Because I could tell they cleaned up a lot of stuff from the theatrical release. The sound editing just seemed amazing. It's a very, very well done and well made product. Consensus? Go.
I haven't, so I watched the documentary on Blu-ray. I haven't watched The Last Jedi on Blu-ray yet.
Okay.
Only because the TV I like to watch like my movies on is like in the basement and it doesn't have a Blu-ray player on it.
I got you.
So like I just watched it on DVD and I was fine with that. I thought it was really cool to like see a movie I saw probably like, I think I saw it 5 times in theaters.
Nice.
Go from a big screen to like a smaller screen, and just seeing that was just, I thought was like really cool. But the documentary looks amazing on Blu-ray.
Oh yes,
and all the behind the scenes so stuff.
Good. Especially the stuff on Michael Skellig.
Yeah.
Island.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Florian, what do you think?
I love Blu-ray, honestly. Especially with The Last Jedi. There was just so much. It was so much more crisp and clean. I think than the theatrical version. It's really just like an extra level of sharpness that was added on top of the film that really made it look stunning.
No, yeah, it really did, and it was one of the things where I was watching it on my dad's TV, and it's like this like Samsung Super HD, not getting paid by them, but I can if you want. Anyways, but I was watching it, and just like the visuals were just so crisp, and the greens were so lush on Michael Skellig Island and all that thing, and oh goodness, it was just a beautiful sight to see, and I was just thrilled with how. Honestly, just how good the Blu-ray looked. So, good job, because, you know, they, like I said before, they touch things up. Like, for instance, a specific thing that I remember is that Civil War, Captain America Civil War, Iron Man's suit looked very, very bad at certain parts during the theatrical release. When you watch it on the Blu-ray, that's not the case. So, good job. With all the people who clean up that visual effects and all that jazz. So, yeah. What did you guys think about the contents of the documentary and everything like that?
So I was thinking about this. I've actually watched the documentary like 1.5 times because
I've seen it twice.
Because the first time I watched it, I watched it the day The Last Jedi came out, and I watched it like at 7:30 in the morning, and I didn't get like any sleep the night before, so I fell asleep during the first time watching it. So I watched it for the second time, or the first full time, last night when I actually was awake, and I was just like so like impressed with like it makes me feel bad because of how like much people hated this movie, but like how much like work Ryan like put into it. Yeah. And like all the other actors, and not just like Ryan, because like it's like almost like a really slap in the face when you say like something like Star Wars saying like Ryan Johnson ruined it, because it wasn't just Ryan Johnson. He had like other producers and, you know, the people who built the sets. Like it's a ton. I don't think people realize how many like people put into like one movie. And
no, like Ram Bergman had a lot to do with the vision of the film, and nobody talks about him.
Yeah,
like he has a lot to do with
Ryan. But like I was just also just super impressed with like how many like actual like, I mean, we all know like Star Wars is going back to being practical, but like I was so impressed with how many like other stuff are practical that I had like no idea were. Like that they show that one scene or that one part where they show Kylo Ren getting his face all stitched up in that little machine thing. That was practical. I'm like, I had no idea that was practical.
No, dude, it was so
like cool. It was like a puppet thing. And there was a lot of other things that I was like, I had no idea that was like practical, but like it was just really impressive to me.
No, man, it's just like it's extremely cool. It's just amazing seeing how all these creatures are created and how you give them emotion. And I thought it was really interesting when Neil Scanlon, the guy who is creating all the creatures, was talking about how he's like, well, we need to make this. We also need to make sure that we're trying to make it look like it's exactly what Rian Johnson wants, but cheaper. Which I found very, very amusing. What do you think, Florian?
I think it was super interesting. You know, I think it's one of those things where people don't honestly know how much work goes into making a film. So, you know, when they see the director is Rian Johnson, they're like, oh, it's all his fault, you know. But like you said, there's so many people that worked on this, like thousands, hundreds of thousands of man hours that go into projects like these. And they even had to scale back because it was so huge. There was so much. And they're like, well, we're running out of budget. We still have to make the movie, but we have to make things not as fantastic as we want them to. But
no, I just thought that was just crazy. And what I thought was also pretty amusing was them talking about how Rian Johnson had like 2 different things where he's either like or like with his laughing and everything. Because it was funny though, like seeing the vision of a director and seeing how it really does impact the film. Because for instance, when you put actual dogs instead of the like crystal fox thing, it looked so bad.
Right,
it looked terrible. And he chose the more expensive thing, which is obviously having animatronic like crystal fox dealios do their thing. And I just thought that was just really interesting seeing the process there. And let me like kind of segue into this. What did you guys think about all of the, you know, Luke stuff? And all the stuff.
I was actually just thinking about that. I thought it was super. It made me appreciate Mark Hamill more because, like, even though he said like, "Oh, I disagree with this, like, what you're doing with my character and all that stuff," like, bumming and try my hardest, but like. Watching the documentary, like, it looked like he had like a really fun time making the movie, even though he disagreed with like with his character, and that made me like appreciate just Mark Hamill more, saying like, you know what, I don't 100% like this, but I'm just gonna have fun with it anyways, and he just like went for it, and I'm sure like it would not surprise me if he showed up as a Force ghost in Episode 9.
No, because he even said in the movie, it's like, I'll see you later, kid, or something. Something around those lines. And I really, very Han Solo line, by the way. Yeah. So it was like, he said, just like your father, even after
see you
he
around,
said that
kid. And
it was amazing. I truly think that his performance was awesome. And I know a lot of nerds like to say, oh, well, this thing is very Oscar worthy in the like world of nerd and different things like that. And so it just, it was just, I thought it was Oscar worthy. Like, honestly, I thought the performance was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Hamill does a great job. He's a fantastic actor. I don't know. I like the stuff that they did with Luke in this movie. I know a lot of people don't, but like, I think Mark Hamill even said it himself. It's like, yeah, you could do the stereotypical Luke story where he's like the greatest Jedi ever, and he just makes the temple and everything's hunky-dory, but that's kind of boring. almost, you know, because Luke is a great character, but I liked the idea that even though he's this legend, he's this fantastical person, that even he can fail, that even he can mess up. So I just really like that message of, you know, even your heroes aren't perfect.
No, yeah, and that's what the message of the film is to me. Like, despite like me not really liking the Canto Bite sequence, the like casino planet, it just didn't really fit in. It didn't flow as well as other parts of the story, in my opinion. So, but even in that sequence, the heroes fail, and your heroes do fail. And this film was just so true to its message. It's like, does anybody really get what they want? And if you think about it, the only person who really gets what they want is Kylo, to an extent. It's like right. he gets the domination, but he does lose the only person he's really connected with in a long time. I think, so it's like one of those things that are very interesting.
I think a lot of people also forget that Empire Strikes Back, the rebels fail too at the very beginning of the movie, and like even Luke like learns that like, you know, Darth Vader's his father, and even that's just like, I don't know, like that's like even hard for Luke to hear and stuff like that. So I think this is like obviously not as similar to the Empire Strikes Back like the Force Awakens was and New Hope were, but like I think there's like very little similarities. Like, oh, that happened in that one too, but like people didn't freak out about that, but this one like everyone freaks out because that's just the world we live in now.
No, yeah, it's like you see something, you know better than the creator, and you know better, which is honestly, it's fine, it's cool, it's fine to have an opinion, but it's kind of frustrating when you don't put other things into account and you don't put stories, because when Rian Johnson said this, it really like stuck out to me. He said that when he makes movies, he puts himself in the audience's shoes and sees what he would like to see in a riveting story that surprises him and different things like that. And somebody who cares that much about the audience's experience needs to be respected at least. And it's kind of frustrated when people say like, oh, he ruined my childhood, just like George Lucas did. And now those people are like worshiping at the altar of George Lucas now. Right. They're like, George Lucas is perfect now. And they've forgotten that the sand scene from Attack of the Clones. But it's just kind of, it's frustrating.
I just still can't believe people were like, man, the episode 8 made the prequels look amazing. I was like, whoa, come on.
Girl that we ran into at the shout out to you if you're listening to this girl, because she did say that she had listened to our podcast. I gave her the link.
Oh yeah, that.
But no, the one waitress that like after one of our podcasts, we had a waitress and she was talking to us about how the Last Jedi was way worse than the prequels. I was like, have you seen the prequels recently? I'm like, you haven't. You really haven't. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Did you watch those movies?
Yeah, like, did you see them? I don't think you did. But it's also a very interesting thing, like getting back on Luke real quick, is I was watching The Last Jedi with my brother-in-law and my sister. My sister hadn't seen it yet. And we were just checking it out, watching it. And then we started having a really deep conversation about it. And we were talking, and then one point I was like, this doesn't make much sense. And my brother-in-law was like, what? What doesn't make sense? I was go, Luke, like Mark Hamill, I'm like, okay, people who have a problem with Luke's arc in the film, it's kind of frustrating because what else did they expect? Did they expect him to be on an island, isolated from everybody else, and being like, oh, wait, I was just here to, meditate. I was here to just meditate and, get my force power on. Oh, okay, Rey, let's go right now.
Come, child, I'll train you.
And the thing is, him being jaded, why is him being why is him being jaded a bad thing? Why is I just don't really understand why why people really, what did they expect? That's what I'm saying. What did they expect from Luke then? It doesn't make much sense.
Right.
And that's just how it is.
To me, it's just I feel like Luke actually becomes old Luke at the end of the film. He finally gives in and says okay, I'm going to help the Resistance out one last time because he gains hope again, even if it doesn't work out, he's still, to me, the very ending of where he comes face to face with Kylo Ren or whatever, it's, to me, that is going back to old Luke, and he kind of came to his senses and said, okay, you know what, one last thing I had to do, and gives himself up, and that, to me, is a Luke Skywalker thing. So, I don't know, I just feel like Luke came back to old Luke at the end
and
of
there's
the movie.
Yeah, and there's even shades of old Luke that come throughout the film, like where he's like R2 and different things like that, and different, and like the way that he like acts, the way that he like comes into contact with his old world, really just it's almost kind of emotional in the way that you see him like revert to that younger version of himself in fleeting moments of the film, which make it way more sad actually for you, because see how he's fallen and different things like that. Florian, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I never really felt like Luke wasn't Luke in the film.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
It's, you know, he takes on this burden of, because he realizes, right, that the whole Jedi Sith, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, if he becomes a Master Jedi again, the Sith are just going to come back, right? And everything's just going to be bad again. Yeah. And then the Sith will kill the Jedi, and then the Jedi will come back, and they'll kill the Sith, and then the Sith will rise and kill the Jedi, and the cycle just perpetuates forever.
No, yeah,
you know,
exactly.
He's seen it with his dad, you know? So I think it's a very Luke thing to take this sort of burden on of like, okay, you know what? I could help, but if I help, things are just going to get worse. Yeah. So I'm going to go on, hang out on this island and drink some cow milk.
Do you know what they could have done, though? They could have cut that cow milk scene. Honestly, I think it's kind of funny. But
it was funny. Yeah.
They could have cut that scene, and they could have put the 15-second scene of him mourning Han. Like, that's something that kind of bothered me about the, like, I'm like, really, Ryan? You couldn't fit that in there? That was a great scene, too, because it was juxtaposed with Leia mourning the loss of the fleet. Right. Like, it's a really good transition. And I'm like, Ryan, I like you a lot as a filmmaker, and I disagree with you on some things, and that's okay. But,
yeah, there were a lot of those deleted scenes, and I'm like, wow, I mean, some of this you could have kept in, and it would have made things a lot better. Like, even the Canto Bite stuff, like, where they extended it a bit, I'm like, so I see why you cut some of this out, but I feel like some of it was, like, some nice connecting tissue that made the Canto Bite flow a little bit better. It's still not a great overall scene in the film, but I think some of those deleted scenes definitely would have made things better.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, like, the quote-unquote final lesson, where he's like, hey, raiders are attacking that village.
Yeah.
And Ray's like, oh, I gotta go
I love that scene.
That was a great
I love that scene.
And I'm like, that definitely should have made it in the film.
I really think it was. And they were just trying, like, okay, I just feel like Disney has an inherent stigma against making their films 3 hours or more.
Yeah.
I honestly no. I think they have a stigma against making their films like more than an hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is weird because I'm pretty sure the new Avengers film is an hour or 2 hours and 30 minutes or more. So
it's got to be long.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's the culmination of everything. But this isn't a Marvel podcast. But if you want one, talk to me about it. I'll make one. Anyways, yeah, it just thought that was very, very like interesting how that scene was a really good last lesson and different things like that. And it was actually really funny as well and really entertaining. And it was good character development for also like kind of calling Luke out on his BS. Like Rey was like, while you're joking around doing this stuff, telling me all these things, people are dying in the Resistance and stuff like that. And it was very, very interesting. And I personally like that scene. And I'd love to have a conversation with Ryan about this someday. You know, like someday I would love to work for Lucasfilm. You know, my resume's up there. But hopefully, if I get into contact with Rian Johnson, I'll talk to him about this. I'd love to do that. So, any specific deleted scenes that you want to talk about? Like anything you disliked about the deleted scenes, actually?
I'm kind of glad that one deleted scene got cut out where the stormtroopers are in the elevator with Finn, and they're like FN 2187, and he like that stormtrooper thinks that like he just got promoted and not. I didn't care for that one.
And plus,
much.
it doesn't make sense with continuity.
And I just thought
it doesn't make any sense with continuity.
Right, and the thing that like just like. Kind of was like, oh, I'm really glad I took that. Is when like the stormtrooper's like, congratulations, and it slaps him on the butt, and just like it's like okay.
It would have been funny in like a Star Trek movie or something like that. Yeah. It would have been funny in a completely different context, but that scene just didn't feel Star Wars at all for me. And it was one of the things where it was like Tom, and I get it, it's Tom Hardy, and Tom Hardy's friends with Rian Johnson, and like it was entertaining, but I'm really glad that they deleted that scene out there because first of all. He was saying that, like, he wished that, like, if you listen to the commentary for that deleted scene, he's talking about how he just wished that the only reason why he deleted that scene is because it was just too long. And it was too long, but that last thematic beat it just did not work with the film. Like, it's one of the things where, like, you know how there's this new rise of people who kind of forgotten that humor existed in the previous Star Wars films.
Yeah. Right.
But if that happened in the Star Wars film, I'd be like, nope, you know.
Well, that's the thing.
Like, honestly, that was really bad. That was bad.
That's another thing that bothers me about all these fanboys. They're like, how dare they make Star Wars funny? I was like, when has Star Wars not been funny? Like the original
no good
trilogy
scruffy looking Nerf herder.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, like the original had like humor. Even the prequels had some humor spots. I mean,
hello there. Another happy landing.
I still love that. You saw big doo-doo this time.
Oh, no.
I still love that. I don't know why. It's just I just think that's hilarious.
I think you should get your brain checked. I'm kidding.
Or the fact that we can say, yippee! It's a quote from Darth Vader. Like,
have you seen that video where they switch the audio from, like, Darth Vader to young Anakin?
Yeah.
He's, like, slashing people. He's like, yippee!
But even like with the Solo trailer coming out, they're like, I can't believe they made the Solo trailer funny. It's just like,
why is humor not allowed in Star Wars anymore?
Right.
It's kind of frustrating because honestly, I just get like, I feel like I lament this every single time we go and record, but it's just the state of Star Wars fandom has really disappointed me. Like, there are pockets of it that are really, really good. Like, for instance, I follow this one dude on Twitter. I don't even know like who he is or how he even got to following each other. I think it's just because like we both like Star Wars stuff and we just happened to, you know, start following each other. And, you know, he deals with a lot of like depression and different things like that. And it's crazy because I'm seeing people officially from Lucasfilm and other fans talk to him. And they like talk to him and they go, you know, your life's worth it. We love you. You're a part of our community. And that's where I really love the Star Wars community. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, and that's the reason why I'll never really give up on it, because there was a time when I was like really frustrated with it. But when I realized and I saw that stuff happening, I saw that like it's bigger than that. It's bigger than movies. It's the way that we interact with each other.
Right.
And it's the way that we honestly get binded by, you know, the Force. Not to sound like all like super spiritual right now, but you know.
Well, I've always thought just like, as long as you enjoyed it, who cares if like someone did not enjoy it?
Nope,
you know?
Everybody has to enjoy it the same exact way as me.
There's only
being rational.
I had to be right about it.
Being rational is just not a good thing. I don't understand why you would want to be rational about something, Nate. Goodness. But now, are there any deleted scenes that you disliked, Florian?
No, I think most of them were pretty good. I mean, aside from I didn't really care for, like we already talked about, this little extended officers scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like funny, but it just, like you said, just didn't really fit.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and Tom Hardy like popping a field to to Finn.
Popping a field.
But no, dude, it was just it was a little bit off-putting and kind of weird there. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I think the other one I didn't super care for was the Paige's like gun jam. Mm-hmm. Where Rose's sister is just like shooting at some TIE fighters and her gun jams. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I mean,
like that scene wasn't necessarily wasn't necessarily necessary, but yeah, it wasn't integral. So I understand why that was cut out.
Yeah.
And I understand why a lot of scenes were cut out. Like, for instance, like I understand that a lot of people are like, I would have watched a 4-hour cut of The Last Jedi. I'm like, I would too, but. But Disney wants people to actually see the movie.
Yeah, most people aren't down to go see a movie for 4 hours.
No, I am because I'm a nerd. Yeah. But
and that's honestly why I saw The Last Jedi. I mean, not The Last Jedi. The Force Awakens 8 times in theater, and I only saw this one 5 times. And one that reason because like I felt like I had to put a whole day aside just to go watch this movie because you know you get 30 because you go to the movies you get 30 minutes of previews. I actually timed it multiple times. It's 30 minutes. Of previews, and then the movie itself is 2.5 hours long.
Yeah,
so that's 3 hours just like going to sitting down. But so I mean like I could watch a 3-hour long Star Wars movie. It had like important context and stuff. Apparently, the first draft of the Phantom Menace, people said was like an actual like masterpiece. But then because George Lucas cut it and stuff, it became what we know today as the Phantom Menace. So.
Well, the Phantom Menace, like, even, like, with like our Phantom Menace review that you can watch, or if you haven't seen it yet, it's really nice. We have our buddy Aaron Wells on there. But yeah, for our Phantom Menace review, when we watched it, I actually and I tried to have like the most positive outlook I could. Because I'm like, I want to give this a fair review. And it's actually a really okay movie. Like, it's not as bad as a lot of people say. But I feel like a lot of that is because there's, like, the Attack of the Clones problem. Right. And I feel like in ways... Phantom is a lot better than... is more cohesive as a film as Revenge of the Sith. But Revenge of the Sith is just more entertaining of a film. Like, it just has more stuff happening. The battles are cool.
Yeah,
it's shiny and awesome.
I still think that George should have hired at least a co-writer for the prequel trilogy because he couldn't let her.
Ron Howard was supposed to, or he was wanting Ron Howard to do it, but basically Ron was like, I don't want to mess it up. So it's just one of those things.
Because George couldn't write a love story at all.
Sorry, just yeah.
No, you're fine.
But it's just one of the things where it's really important to, take that into account. And yeah.
So, I know this is something you want to talk about. It's been 3 months since we saw The Last Jedi for the first time. Mm-hmm. Has your guys' opinion changed on the movie at all since the first time viewing it?
It's the worst. I think it's worse than the prequels. No. Let's start out with you, Florian. What do you think?
I think my opinion definitely has changed of The Last Jedi.
Okay.
I liked it the first time I watched it, but it just felt kind of odd. I enjoyed it, but there were just some scenes that I didn't really understand. Mm-hmm. Especially for what threw me off was the whole chase with the starships. The first time I watched that, I wasn't super about it.
Yeah.
But then I was reading something, and somebody was think of it not as a chase, even though they're moving super fast through space. Think of it as a siege.
Yeah.
Right? More of a medieval sense of where, okay, well, we're safe for now, but we need to go do something, because in a couple hours we're not going to be safe. And I think that really sort of switched that scene for me and made the movie better overall.
Yeah, it made the movie flow better, in your opinion. Okay. That's cool. That's rad. And it's kind of crazy because I had so I watched I watched The Last Jedi 3 times and in theaters. And then I just didn't watch it until the Blu-ray came out. And it was one of the things where I'd been listening to a lot of people talking about it, different things like that. I began to think about, how things were in it. And I was just did I like it as much as I thought I did? I'm do I like it? I'm not on the side where I'm I absolutely hate it, but I was kind of so-so on it. And it was kind of crazy because I watched the documentary first because I was waiting to watch it the first time with my mom because she hadn't seen it. Mm-hmm. I was just waiting to watch it. And so I watched the documentary first, and then I watched the movie. And then that just gave me an insane appreciation for the movie, an insane appreciation for what came into it. Because I know a ton of work goes into these movies, but this documentary did such a good job with portraying that. And it was one of the things where I just became absolutely thrilled with what was going on in the film and thematically, and just seeing Rian Johnson's vision be prepared. And it's one of the things where a lot of people are Disney's this corporate overlord that does all these evil things. I'm sorry, no corporation, for all those people who are just going on and on about how much they hate Disney, Fox Studios would never let Rian Johnson make this film.
No.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't. See the way that they're dragging X-Men and different things through the ground for the most part, depending on their...
So glad that Disney...
Yeah, I'm honest. I'm not really too glad on the monopolization of a ton of Hollywood studios, which means it's just a lot less jobs for writers and a lot less jobs for stuff that I want to do for the rest of my life. So that's the only thing that really irks me. But I love that. But I really love because I think they're a better creative studio. A lot of fans complain about studio interference. Mm-hmm. Disney didn't interfere with this movie nearly as much as one would think.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things where it's just they want to make good movies, and I think people just need to recognize that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what I really enjoyed about it, is seeing how his vision was put through there, and even the things I didn't like I didn't love the characterization of Rose, but at the same time I liked it a little bit more when he said it's a Star Wars character in the film that isn't supposed to really be there. And that's like, I thought about it for a while. I'm like, is that the reason why people are kind of like so on her? I'm like, wow. And I began to like think of it a little bit more and think of it in a deeper manner. And, you know, I really like movies that make me think. I like movies that make me feel happy and excited, and I like movies that make me think. So Star Wars The Last Jedi did both for that for me. So yeah. And really enjoyed the movie after 3 months. So
yeah, I'm kind of on the same with you. Like, after watching the documentary, I appreciated the movie so much more and stuff like that. And honestly, the more people hated on this movie, the more I liked it, because I was just like, because all the reasons were like, the reasons people hate it was just because majority of them are just because their fan theories didn't work out. Yeah, and that was like it. Like, Rey was no one. This is the worst movie ever. I had a theory that didn't work out for me. Like, yeah, exactly. It's just like, I'm sorry, that's not how like life works. Sometimes I think I'm gonna go to work, have a good day, and it comes out bad. Like, like that's how life works. Sorry. Yeah. But honestly, like, I really, I would far say like I loved The Last Jedi, not as much as The Force Awakens, but like I loved the character development in this movie for all the characters, especially for Rey and Kylo Ren. I love how Kylo Ren is still really confused and conflicted on how he's like, I don't want to be good, but I don't want to be like evil, but I want to be as powerful as my grandfather, but I don't want to like do this whole Sith dark side thing, because he was just like, even Kylo Ren was just like, no, the Resistance has to end, the First Order has to end, like, we just need to stop all this. And Luke was kind of the same way. And I don't know, I really enjoyed Rey's character development of like how, and Ryan Johnson said this, how it's like, just because like you wanted an easy answer saying, oh, my parents are these people, so now I can be this. It's, your parents don't matter it doesn't matter who your parents are. This is your story. You had to figure out who you are yourself by yourself, not with your parents' help.
Another reason why I really don't want JJ to change it. Like, I just really don't want it, because I just think it's really good thematically for Rey's character. And I think it's not just the good thing thematically for her character, I think it's the right thing to do for her character and her development. I think it would be like a huge gash in her development if she's like, oh, I want my parents, I want to know who my parents are. Your parents are nobody. Oh no, right. Just kidding. Your parents are like a Kenobi Skywalker Windu. They're all of them mashed together.
I will say,
yes.
I will say,
no, she's a Windu. I can see it. She has the same features.
I just can't wait until like episode 9 is like out on DVD as well. The new Star Wars fans watch these movies and they're not gonna like really care.
I bet my kids are gonna love these movies. Right? Not that I have kids now,
they're not gonna like.
But my eventual kids.
They're not gonna
love
like
movies.
They're not gonna care what critics are saying about the Last Jedi or the Force Awakens. People don't even care really what people thought about the Force Awakens now, because it's old news.
Mm-hmm. It's fake news.
Fake news.
It's fake news, guys.
Worst trade deal ever, probably in history.
The trade deal that they did with Canto Bight, the weapons that the First Order got from Canto Bight, they're all bad. Fake news. Anyways, that's my...
we must get rid of all Gungans until we can figure out what's going on.
The Gungans are getting everywhere. They're throwing around Bantha Poodoo. It's gross and it's disgusting. And we need to build a space wall. We need to build a force field. Our shields need to be up so we don't have any more of those Gungans. They're just the worst. Terrible. But look at this Gungan over here. Look at him. Look at my Gungan over here. See, he knows what's up. Hi, Ben Carson. Anyways.
My Gungan.
My Gungan. Okay, I'm done. I'm black. I can say it. But yeah, dude, it's great. Like, I love the way that The Last Jedi panned out, and I think that it will be revered as a very good film eventually.
Eventually, once people calm down about it.
I feel like people aren't going to calm down about it.
Well, people even hated The Empire Strikes Back when it first came out.
Yeah, it was very different.
They said like it was too dark and depressing, but now people are like, that's the best one out of all of them. And it's just like, so I just can't wait to see like 10 years from now, like, what people actually think of The Last Jedi and be like, oh, like, I was kind of wrong about it. Because, like, I still will make this argument, even though we have 2/3 of a whole of Rey's story, we still are not seeing the big picture. And I think, Episode 9 it's the final piece, and we're going to all see how this all makes sense. And
yeah, and it's really interesting that J.J. Abrams doesn't just have to finish, like, first of all, J.J. Abrams doesn't really finish a lot of stuff if you think about it. And he doesn't just have to finish the trilogy. I'm pretty sure he might have to finish the saga. Like, I don't know if there's going to be saga films after Episode 9. And that kind of, like, leads us into our next topic. Work on the new Star Wars trilogy has commenced. Ron Bergman, the guy who's producer who I mentioned a few minutes ago, he's like Ryan's main producer partner. He produced Brick and Looper and all those very, very great Rian Johnson films that I highly recommend that you watch if you haven't. Awesome filmmaker. Anyways, Ron Bergman said that they've started work on it, which means they're probably starting out storyboards. They probably don't even have a full script yet, but they've started work on it. So yeah. So what do you guys think?
Rian Johnson, I am available for any. I just want to be in the movie. Hear me out, Ryan. I just want to be in the movie long enough to get my own action figure.
I will be. I will be a cantina dancer. I will be a cantina dancer. I will do anything. I will sit on Jabba's lap or the new Jabba's lap. I will offer people death
sticks. I will offer people death sticks.
I will smoke all of the death sticks.
Can I be the son of the salt guy? I want to be his son, living on my dad's legacy. Taste and salt.
Yeah.
Taste and salt getting shot at by TIE fighters.
No, did you guys see the Honest trailer? Shout out to Screen Junkie's great channel. But the Honest trailer for The Last Jedi, and it had the salt guy go like that, and then put salt on his lip and go salt. And then it was like the fan base, and you're like it was so funny.
I still don't know how I feel about the Rian Johnson trilogy because, like, I don't know if it's gonna be like another Jedi story or another like a Rebels pilot story, or I'm just like,
I think somehow the Force is going to be involved.
Right.
Well, obviously, like, it's Star Wars, so the Force is going to be involved. And with what Rian Johnson has done is, like, despite people not really like enjoying what he did with the Force in that movie, he really gets into the whole Force lore, and he wrote some of the best Yoda dialogue out of any of the films, in my opinion. Yeah. It's one of the things where, like, I could have taken a 15-minute long scene of Yoda just talking to Luke. Honestly, I could have just dealt with that. That would have been just fine with me because the dialogue was perfectly written. And honestly, I guess I might track that back because it was poignant and short, so it probably affected me a lot better. But regardless of that, there's going to be a lot of new and crazy stuff happening, and I think The Last Jedi is kind of preparing people for that with how the new trilogy is going to be. But I'm really interested in him attacking new characters, not having to be tied down by the Skywalker familial ties and different things like that. Mm-hmm. So, like, what do you think about?
Oh, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I think regardless of what ends up happening, I think it's going to be good. I think, especially with the Marvel movies, Disney has shown us, like, they can make a crap ton of movies, and all of them are still going to be pretty good. Some of them are going to be better than others.
Yeah.
Right.
But they'll be really good. So I'm not really worried about a bad Star Wars film happening. For me personally, I'd be super excited to see Rian Johnson tackle the Old Republic, because I know a lot of Star Wars fans have been asking for Old Republic movies, because that is a large part of the fan base.
Yeah, that's very large part of the fan base.
The MMO has gone on for so long.
Yeah.
Because, people really do love the Old Republic, and they love the characters that have been made from there. So I definitely would love to see Ryan tackle that. Love to see Revan get into a film finally.
Yeah, dude, I agree. It's just like, it's really, 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 really cool. Like, the Old Republic is just it's like, for those of you who have never played the game or never played the MMO or read any the Drew Karpyshyn novels or anything like that, they basically take Lord of the Rings and they take Star Wars and then they They have a child. They play the no pants dance and then have a child. Anyways, and it's a beautiful, beautiful child with amazing stories.
Yeah.
And I really like it. But the thing is like if Rian Johnson were to do that, I don't know if I would want him to be tied down to a lot of the lore, because you see, if you attack Knights of the Old Republic, people are going to be like, well, this isn't the way that I thought Revan was going to be. Well, this is going to be the way that I thought this was going to be. And it's one of those things where I would much rather have, and plus I would much rather have them either do Knights of the Old Republic as a TV show, which they are doing a TV show now, or even though I don't really see Jon Favreau doing a TV show for the Knights of the Old Republic, he doesn't seem like the right fit for that, but he could do it. Honestly, like he could surprise me, but yeah, I still think it's a great idea. Like regardless, since it's a Rian Johnson trilogy, I'm gonna be excited for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was sort of the point of Disney, like, uncanonizing all the Old Republic, even though, like, people will still hold that as, like, no, this is how it is. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I definitely think that an Old Republic film series or even television series is going to be contentious. There's going to be somebody that doesn't really like it. You know, there's going to be a group of fans that are like, oh, this isn't what I thought the Old Republic would be. But, I mean, regardless, I think the Old Republic would be an interesting topic, especially for sort of the newer Star Wars fans who maybe aren't acquainted with the Old Republic and don't know how cool that sort of era can be.
No, yeah, I get that.
I'd also be down for like something completely new.
No,
like give me a brand new Star Wars something.
I would actually almost prefer something brand new, only because that way like fans can be like, this character was never like this and blah blah. Worst movie ever. You know how people were like towards Luke and stuff. Because if you start from scratch, something brand new, fans can't really be like, oh, this never happened, or, you know, all that other crap. But, you know, I'd be happy with either one.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think there's always going to be people who just aren't a fan. You know, they just don't like it because something didn't pan out the way that they thought. But
oh, yeah, exactly. And it's just...
I always enjoy seeing things. Even if it's something I like seeing different versions of, like, how that would play out. It's always interesting, you know?
Exactly.
At least for me. But...
Oh, yeah, it's just like really interesting the way that like people just see things. It's just like, I don't know. It's like I feel like it's either that people just want to see new things, or people just act like they want to see new things, or it just really depends. And it's kind of like it's one of those things that's just a bit frustrating.
It's a weird spot.
Yeah, it's just kind of, and it's kind of weird like where Star Wars is right now. Like it's kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, it's very. It's like being in the thick of it. There's just a lot of emotions, but I feel like the emotions will die down eventually. And then we'll love Star Wars for the reason that, you know, we should. Not emboldening our Star Wars theories and different things like that.
Yes.
Which is the thing is like, honestly, and I was going to mention this before, if you or any fan dislikes The Last Jedi because of narrative issues or anything like that, that's completely fine. And that's completely understandable. And I don't want you to or anyone to really feel like their opinion isn't valid, because that's a very like valid opinion. There's a lot of narrative issues in the Last Jedi. I happen to really love the film, and I happen to overlook them a little bit, but it would be naive of me to say that there weren't issues in the movie. But it's just one of the things that frustrates me is when somebody's like, well, I wanted this to happen, and then
yeah,
you know, that's the reason why you don't like. There's no reason. That's not a reason to not like a film, in my opinion, because it's just one of those things that's kind of
yeah.
So yeah, you know, we have got. It's time to like wind down things here, and y'all have any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. I like Last Jedi a lot. It is a flawed film, and I will admit that, but I think overall it's really good. And I cannot wait to see the conclusion of this trilogy and whatever new that comes out for Star Wars. Yeah. I'm always excited.
Yeah, dude, me too. Nate?
Star Wars fan forever. Love the original, love the prequels, love the new trilogy. I'm excited for the Han Solo film just because it's another Star Wars film, and yeah, I can't wait to see that. I'm excited and nervous what the future of Star Wars is gonna be. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, well, what my closing thoughts? What should my closing thoughts be, guys? You know, I love Star Wars. It's the greatest. It's amazing. please listen or watch the podcast. I'm going to put it up on YouTube. I'm going to put it on SoundCloud. Right now, I was telling the guys that I'm looking for podcast hosting companies and looking to get this on iTunes, trying to get uploads actually like weekly so that, I get content out to you all in a proficient manner. And, it's all a process. And please subscribe and like the Rough Ninja Network. Florian, what's your YouTube channel called?
My YouTube channel is Mr. Going with the Flow. That's what I am on pretty much every social media. If you want to find me, I haven't been posting stuff in a while, but I would like to post more stuff. So hopefully we'll have something coming out soon. Yeah. I also stream on Twitch sometimes, also at Mr. Going with the Flow, if you want to find me.
Yeah. And, Nate's Nate.
Yep. Nate. I do have a YouTube channel. I don't really use it a lot. You just look up my name, Nicopedia. But if you really want to be cool, shameless plug here, you can check out my music on Bandcamp. Just search my name. I have a full original album out and a couple of EPs. Just bandcamp.com. Natepedia. No, it's natepedia1.bandcamp.com.
Goodness, dude. Goodness.
Or just go to Bandcamp, search my name.
Oh, yeah. Well, now that we've gotten all those shameless plugs out there, I hope you all have a wonderful day. May the force be with you always. Midichlorian Media, out.